Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the People's Court. This week, we're in Homa Bay. And Homa Bay and the people right there are promising a people-first devolution. We've seen free medical camps, we've seen youth inclusion ceremonies, and a climate plan that is supposed to have been designed by the people of Homa Bay themselves. But ladies and gentlemen, we've all heard big promises in this country, and we've seen what happens. We've seen those plans fade when the cameras move away. But tonight we're trying to do something different. We're trying to we're not here actually to even condemn or praise alone. We're here to test devolution. The Devolution Conference is about to kick off. We've had 8 others, this is the 9th. 13 years of devolution, and we've had 9 conferences to measure our progress and to see just how devolution is doing. Tonight, we're here to find out, is this concept working? How can we make sure that this Devolution Conference and devolution as a whole delivers for Kenyans long after the speeches are done, long after the cameras have moved away? We're here to also learn how you and I, as Kenyans, can keep this government accountable and to make sure that devolution becomes a reality, even more so than it is right now. The People's Court is in session, devolution is on trial, and you and I and the people in the studio are the judge and the jury. The questions will be mine, the answers will be ours. Now, let us begin with an introduction. We have a large room of people. This is just a representation of the country that is watching us right now. Allow me, in no order of seniority and with no slight or favor to anybody, let me introduce them in order of how they seat in relation to where I'm at. James Mulamba is the first person to my left. James Mulamba describes himself as a revolutionary. Other people have called him a youth leader. He is, of course, a politically switched on Kenyan who has a deep interest in how this country progresses. Karibu, James.
Asante sana.
Is the revolutionary tag accurate?
Yes, it is.
But you do know what our society and through history, we've seen what people do to revolutionaries.
Well, not all revolutionaries have lost their lives.
Brilliant, brilliant. But it's not just life that is lost. But we sincerely hope that all this will turn out great for you. Next to him is, of course, Brian Alang. How are you, Brian?
I'm good.
Brian,
nice to see you.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you too as well.
Thank you.
You're joining us from Vocal Africa, where you are in charge of legal things. You're here to help us also understand some of those legal things.
Exactly.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
All right. By the way, Brian is also a very astute commentator on matters governance and particularly the legal side of things. Karibu, Brian.
Asante.
Last but not least is Virone Ochola. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
You're joining us from TISA, where you are in charge of economic inclusion and research.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
All right. And of course, on this side, we have the face of Kenya. The only difference with this face of Kenya is that it's predominantly male. That's the only challenge. But the 2 ladies that are in the audience tonight are women enough for all the women in Kenya. Correct or not? Absolutely. Karibuni sana. Each time we come to you to make a point, you bless us with an introduction to who you are and what you do. All right? Excellent. Now, let's begin this conversation. And I have a simple question for all of you. I'll have you guys answer and some of you to answer. Talk to me about this. And this is really, I think, something we all need to ask. And I'll start with you, Ochola. What does real devolution mean to you, in 2 words?
It means resources close to the people.
What about you?
Inclusion, just 1 word.
Inclusion.
Yes.
What about you, Mulamba?
Equitable distribution of resources.
Okay, I can see similarities here. Let's come back to this side. Who's got a mic and who's ready to speak? Sir, what's your name? And what does real devolution mean to you?
Thank you. My name is Victor Orwa. Devolution is the division of power and resources to the nearest, the grassroots level of the pyramid.
What does it mean to you, the real devolution? Yeah. That's the dictionary definition to you.
Yeah, the decentralization of services and resources to the nearest grassroots level. That is what it means to me.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Victor. Let's hear from one of the ladies. Please pass the mic to her. What does real devolution mean to you, madam? Please stand and introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Njeri Maina. from Murang'a County.
Yes, Jerry.
So devolution to me, it means inclusion. And also it means that equitability of resources to every county that we have representation in Kenya.
All right. And maybe the last person who we will hear from, Madam, you have a mic. Have you seen this definition of devolution come to pass in your life? Have you seen it?
I'm Cornelius Kitonga. My answer is no.
Thank you very much. Cornelius, you'll go to heaven. You're a very direct man. All right. Now, let's get into this. Let's get into this conversation. Viron, I want to come to you. I want to start with you. We've seen headlines. We've seen a health camp. We've seen the launch of a new plan for Homa Bay County. We've seen climate plans supposedly created by Homa Bay residents themselves. Yeah. We've seen youth events. What would you say, from where you sit, is the first economic or perhaps even policy safeguard that you would demand to make sure that all these things that are being said are not just said, but they're actually done?
I think the first thing will be, how do we integrate all the plans that we are coming with into annual development plans of the county government? Because every time we have these policies, but we don't have the frameworks to follow up, then they become, we pass. Every year we come up with good policies, but at the end of the day, there are no measures into how do we track them. Whether it is starting at the county assembly, do we have the county assembly that are very effective and understand their work? So as long as we don't have the frameworks in place, then even the policies we are coming up with right now, we are going to have a challenge implementing. Yes.
Have you seen in the last 13 years of devolution and in the last, I want to say, 8 devolution conferences, have you seen any evidence or record of what you're talking about?
Well, in some counties, I would positively say yes. I can say with what Murang'a County is currently doing, I think in terms of health sector, it is working very well. I'll go to Makueni. I've also seen in terms of Homa Bay, because even if you look at the on-source revenue that they have managed to get in the last financial year, is very, very impressive. Because as long as you cannot be able to achieve adequate on-source revenue, then all the plans that you're having, and you have to depend on the national government to disburse funds, which they usually do at a later date, then the plans at the county government will never be realized.
Right.
Yes. Okay,
and if I may still stay with you for a second, why do you think those counties that you've mentioned, Murang'a, Makueni, and Homa Bay, why do you think they're doing as well as they're doing in the areas that you've mentioned? What sets them apart from the other 44 other counties?
I think it starts with the leadership. If the leadership comes in and they understand the needs of the people, and it becomes easy to even come with a plan and reach out to people and let people decide the way they want to be led. And it also comes with a plan. If you have a plan that is realistic and achievable, it again becomes easy, and you see it also has to be in line with what the national government is doing. And you see when, let me take you back to 2019.
Please.
When we had the Devolution conference in Kirinyaga, and there was so much hype around universal health coverage. We even went ahead and mapped counties, and we knew at that level that we are going to have one of the best universal health coverage in Kenya. And right now, if you look at that plan, it is nowhere to what we anticipated during that Devolution conference. So it then tells you that whenever every government comes into place, they come with different priorities. Even with Vision 2030, you realize that it is not the main development plan that guides us. Every government comes in, they want to do their own thing. Then you realize in between, there's a gap that we try to fit when it is already late.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Brian, Ochola here is talking about this disconnect between, you know, the lofty and beautiful policies and announcements and the reality on the ground. From where you sit, where are the gaps?
I think, you know, when you look at maybe the Constitution entirely, and maybe what is the main intention of devolution? You know, you remember we are moving from a place where power was centralized to now a place where power is devolved. And this also includes devolution of resources. to that local level. I remember back in 2019, it was the first time I went to Wajir County. And Wajir town, you know, the tarmac was just within the town, you can imagine. Beyond that, they had never seen a tarmac road since independence. So these are the fruits of devolution that Kenyans want to see. But now if you look at the conferences happening, I think this is it the 8th one? Or
The 9th.
The 9th one.
Yes.
If you look at it, I mean, it's somewhere where the governors go, they have a conference, they talk about devolution, instead of actually actualizing these things. Because you find the president is there now, he's probably the one who opened the ceremony. But look at the conduct of his government, right? Is he for devolution or is he against devolution? Does he ensure that the counties have resources, money on time? You know, so these are the basic things that we need to discuss. Not having conferences every year. You know, do we look back and review how did we perform last year? What can we do to perform better now? There has to be goodwill from the executive as well, right? Because if there's no goodwill from the executive, then what are we doing? You know, I would say what they're doing in Homa Bay is Ajab. There's nothing much we're seeing, you know. That's what I can say about that.
Right. Mulamba, I saw you make faces and react to what the two gentlemen next to you were talking about. Where do you stand on this?
Kenya is a good circus. We are in a big play, and it's exactly what it is.
I believe the people back there want to hear you.
Kenya is a big circus. We are in a big play, and unfortunately, we are not the players. Almost every other national event or conference that has been in this country for as long as I can remember is a beautifully curated exercise to pretend to be doing something, to be conspiring towards a certain policy, a certain ideology, and a certain strategy. But they never effect that. In the words of the president of the Vietnam Gas Company, this country lacks a serious execution culture, that we are big at talking, but we don't walk that talk. So I am seeing this as a good circus and as a good show. In fact, if you're tuning your televisions to look at how your governors and MCS are well-dressed, the pompous language, the beautiful speeches, and the cultural exhibition, then you are in for a good show. But if you are tuned in this and you're looking for a serious strategy, then you are wasting your time. You perhaps should focus on better entertainment. But this is good entertainment.
Right, and expensive entertainment, I should say. That conference is really, really expensive.
Oh, by the way, Victor.
Yes, please.
Before I see the spotlight, I was just going through the news, and it has struck me that NTV has reported that the government has procured 50,000 condoms for use in the Devolution conference.
Goodness.
So that's where I tell you this is a good entertainment circus, and it tells you and it beats the reasoning to why exactly we have this conference. I mean, can't they come with their own condoms if they must engage in that activity? Right. Now, I'll give you a moment to wipe the images that came into your minds as you were speaking. The moment is now done. On to serious things. Listen, guys, from what this thing is sounding like, from what James is talking about, it sounds like it's, you know, it just sounds like it's all futile. So I have a question. Do you guys believe that, and should the young people of Kenya believe that this moment is different and that it has potential? And what action should they take right now to make sure that that potential does not slip away? Let's hear from you, sir. The gentleman who just spoke, the one who's going to heaven, Cornelius, please.
Okay.
Do you believe that this moment, you know, this conference and this effort that is ongoing in Homa Bay, do you think it has any potential? And what should young people do to protect that?
The conference going on Homa Bay, it just appear that has always been there. There's nothing that will change. It will end just as the others ended. Now they are not going to make any difference. You can be sure on that because the rhetoric promises that we have had for almost 13 years since devolution started, They are the same rhetoric promises we are going to hear for those 3 days. So as my brother said, this is just an entertainment to sit down and listen to so-called fake promises. And we cannot do anything. We just listen to them, love where we can love, and then at the end of it all, we know that they are going to do nothing out of what they are going to say.
All right. Now, yes, let's listen to your neighbor. And how many mics do you guys have? Let me just have a look. Oh, so you will be the next speaker, and then once you're done, pass the mic up front. So
Okay.
we need to know your name, where
My
you're
name
from,
is,
and what your point is.
Michael Soy from Bomet and a student at the University of Nairobi pursuing development studies.
Karibu, Michael.
I would like to differ with my colleagues on the essentiality or the eminence of why we need the Devolution Conference.
Tell
the
us.
reason why we seated here today is because there's a Devolution Conference happening in Homa Bay. Had there been no other conference, I'm not certain if we would be here. The theme of the conference is talking about how are we going to bridge the divide, the social economic divide that we are having. How are we going to re-engineer the development that is happening or should be happening in the county governments? Devolution in itself, in my definition, is allowing development trickle down to the marginalized counties which were so much not taken care of when the government was centralized. That is why we are having this conversation. And this is meant to inform how the policies going forward will be informed. And it's meant now for the governors from our places, like for example, Bomet, to learn from the governors of Murang'a County, Makueni, and the likes of Kiambu. How are they doing those work? If we don't create such platforms, how are we going to ensure that the people who lead us in the counties we come from get to understand how this work is done? So we must be having forums to have conversation, and this is one of them. And it's also a platform for us as the youth and the people who are seated here and watching us to listen to them and have our input in all these conversations to be able to get someone. So we cannot, in its entirety, dismiss what is happening.
All right, thank you for your views. Let's hear from you, madam, as you member for Bomet. You pass the microphone forward to the front row. You will get the other mic. Please pass this one to the front row. Thank you. Please.
Good evening.
Your name, where you're from, and your point, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Wendy Aura from the county of the moment, Homa Bay.
Right. Karibu. Why are you not in Homa Bay?
Because I'm here right now.
We are hearing that. I mean, that's fair enough. But we are hearing there's a lot of festivities going on. There was frying of fish. You know, there's all sorts of cultural events. Why are you not partaking?
She will fly to Homa Bay.
Indeed.
Yeah, we land in the morning.
My apologies. My apologies. Ms. Aura, please proceed.
Yeah, so for me, I look at the devolution. Generally, it is something that we worked hard for as a country since 1998 to achieve. And the gains that we've had over the years is immeasurable compared to the misses that we keep on having. And those are the little gaps that we need to talk about at the conference. And now looking at the conference, I would look at it in full spectrum in terms of the short-term outcomes and the long-term. I feel like the Devolution Conference has more of short-term, looking at what's happening right now in Homa Bay County, look at the small businesses that have thrived, and right now you see there's a lot.
There's a facelift.
Yeah, there's a lot of facelift in Homa Bay County. The accommodation right now is full. People are extending to Kisii County. So for a local business person, it is a plus, and those are low-hanging fruits. And in terms of long-term, which may not come immediately, for me, I'll be keen to look at what measures they have as a monitoring and evaluation matrix, so that after this, when we are back and the noise is down, what are we going to say were the key outcomes out of this? How are they going to communicate to the local mwananchi so that we understand the value out of the expenditure that was there? So that is how I look at it. But also, I'm keen to ask myself if this is something about it is about the people. And the theme is actually something on for people and for prosperity.
Yes.
I'm looking at the registration fees of this conference, and I'm like, this for a certain caliber of people who can afford that. And for me, if I was in that committee, I would suggest to them if we would have strategies of how to include the local people who cannot afford that, so that we hear from the people, how are they feeling this devolution? Because we may have the panelists who are maybe sponsored or are able to afford the registration fee. But this voice that is left out and that cannot afford that, where do we leave them at? The small businesses, the young people, the students, how are they feeling the devolution, and where is their voice factored in all this conference? So that is how I would look at it, the little things that they would have considered. But above all, I feel it's a good thing. We need to have conversation. We need to learn from each other. We need to, right now we've publicized the Rhone Marathon. We've publicized the National Park in Homa Bay. The tourism sector in Homa Bay has maybe improved out of this. So I look at it differently. And of course, we won't miss the little gaps that we can always discuss.
All right. Thank you for that. The voice from Homa Bay. Now, guys, just before we proceed, just a moment. We do have the QR code on the screen right now. And the question we were asking is also very, very clear right there. So scan the QR code, send in your answer. I can see, the graph is moving up and down. Let us get all those answers in, and we shall be able to continue. Of course, I can see about 22% are saying yes, and the rest, about 78%, are saying no. And the ones who are saying maybe are about 0%. So let's keep it going. Let's keep sending in our feedback, and we should be able to sample it as we proceed. Now, before this gentleman speaks, I believe there's a message.
Yeah, there's just something I want to communicate. I think
yes, Brian.
Brother speak. I believe the member from Bomet. We are not against, just for clarity, we are not against the Devolution Conference, just to make that clear. And I don't want us to be delusional here. Number one, what you need to know is this. Kenya is an A student. You can imagine you're an A student at Alliance, but getting D's and C's. You see? So that's how we look at this country. So we look at it from that perspective, that it has a lot of potential, but we're not living up to that. Right? So when you question some of these things that the government is doing, when you question the things which are happening at the conference, we're not saying that what is happening at the conference is bad. But we can't be speaking about the same things over and over again. We can't be speaking about, the president is there, yet allocation to counties delays. So what are we going there to discuss? So if you can't get those basic things right first, then what are we doing there yearly? It's clear, from what my brother was saying, what they procured, that is what is happening there. It's not what is good for you and I.
All right. Let's hear from you. Thank you, Brian. What is your name and what is your point?
Good evening.
Good evening. It's on. It's on, yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Brian Ogola.
Hello, Brian. Karibu.
Asante sana.
Where are you from?
I'm the chair of Nation Transformation Party.
Karibu.
It's a new party, and also a leader in a movement called J25 Movement.
What does that mean?
June 25th. In full.
Okay. Before you proceed, actually, why are you guys in place? What is the aim of your association? What are you trying to do for this country?
So we have a platform where young people, majorly, let me begin with the J25 movement, where we come together. We are from the street. Then we came together to a platform to converge, to have a conversation. What's the way forward about our country? We've been on the street many times. How can we find an alternative way where we anchor our voice? We make sure the things that went on the street are tackled in a progressive way. And if all fails, how are we preparing ourselves to form the next alternative government?
All right.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough. What is your point tonight?
So I'd like to disagree with two of my colleagues over there, but in a good way. So I still hold that this exercise that is happening in Homa Bay is a PR exercise. Because of the following anchors. So, as mentioned by one of your panelists over there, that we don't have a proper metrics since the devolution process started, where we can measure in a strategic way where we began and where we are now. So, what is the long-term plan? Maybe 50 years from now, how our county is supposed to look like in terms of development. Do we have that topography? Do we have targets? Do we have metrics? So we cannot be recycling every 5 years. We have a new government. It's like they're restarting this process again. So if we don't have that, that means we don't have a proper plan where this county government will be elevated from a certain place to a certain area. So the second way I'm looking at it is that still there is lack of proper leadership from the national government. So you cannot delineate leadership from national government and county government. So once we have incoherence of policies from national government to county government, we'll do this conference. This is the 13th one. We have
the ninth conference, but 13 years of devolution.
13 years of devolution.
Yes.
So imagine 1, 2, 3 up to 9. So what's special about this? Still headed by the president, governors sit around, we have conversation, we discuss hit and miss. Because we don't have a strategic plan, we don't have a proper laid out route. For example, in Kisumu, we say like, what strategic, Kisumu is maybe a tourist attraction area. We have the lake over there. So how will that lake serve its people 30 years to come? What kind of resources are we envisioning the national government will bring to Kisumu to elevate it to a proper port that can host proper harbors and proper, and like a proper functioning industry over there that process fish and everything. So once we don't have this strategic plan, I believe all this RPR will be trying to stitch areas and patch this process, but still not delivering.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Now, just have a seat, please. We'll come to you in a moment, but I want to shift the conversation to something that has already emerged. And I'm going to come to you, Viron. If you look at the past conferences, let's just critique the conference itself, the event itself, as it has been now for the 9th time this year. Talk to me about what you have seen as far as youth inclusion, and not just tokenism, but real inclusion, where their views are taken in and they actually matter. What have you seen to be the trend when it comes to this?
What I've seen to be the trend is that youth to date tend to be neglected, ignored, and not considered when it comes to real power decision making. And I'm talking this because even when you look at participation itself, it is like you just go, you rubber stamp, and you leave. The political elites will come and make the decision. So for me, in terms of youth inclusion, we are still behind completely.
But why do you think this is so? And I ask this because right now, the youth are the majority of Kenyans. And in the next few years, the scientists will tell you that there's a youth bulge that's coming. Mm-hmm. The youth population of this world is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 75%. Can you visualize that? Can you imagine that? And that voice is, as you say, ignored, sidelined. Mm-hmm. Why do you think this is so? Why do you think the political elites, as you call them, take this strategy?
I think the first thing you will look at it from no politician wants to prosper where people are very clever. So the first rule is to make sure that the population remain ignorant. Okay? That's the first thing that they want to see. But you see that is now changing because young people are now rising up because they have found their voice. As per now, the Article 1 of the Constitution, power belongs to the people. And I think that's one thing that as Kenyans we really failed to capitalize on, that the power belongs to the people, that Kenya cannot be without the people. If Kenya was to be because of the land, I think someone will have grabbed it. But now, because now the country has to be because of the people. So now that the young people are understanding that the power belongs to them and as the people, they are now rising up. And we also look at it from the angle of, when you talk now in terms of priority. If you are in an environment where when you want to arise, someone knocks your head, whether it is through political parties, they will make sure that they have the elites group that occupies the political seats. And you know, for you to prosper in a society, you need a vehicle. And a vehicle has to be as a system that recognizes, number one, the needs and the goals. If your needs are not recognized and you realize that, you become frustrated and you give up along the way. Mm. Yes.
Interesting. What about you, Brian? Why do you think this trend is as he described? First of all, do you agree that the youth have been systematically ignored and sidelined from conversations like this? And if so, why?
I completely agree that the youth are left out in these conversations. And I think it's very deliberate because, one thing we need to understand about politicians, all of them are selfish. It's like ni kama mafisi walking around and they see you and they see fresh meat and flesh. That's what they want to eat. They see our taxes and that's what they want to take. And if there's one thing that even our youth keep falling for is this issue of division along tribal lines. Last time it was, on class lines. Now, of course, they're bringing in tribe. But if you check, the only two tribes in Kenya, either you're poor or you're rich. And the politicians know this. Yeah, right? So that's why they'll come and tell you, Olang, you're from Migori, the people from Central don't want you. And I'm like, who doesn't want me there from Central? I've never met somebody from Central who doesn't want me. But they do that, and they plant that seed of ethnic division to ensure that they remain in power. Because the moment as youth, as you said, we are 75%, or at least thereabout, of the population in the country. And yet, none of us is in top leadership. We have people who have been in power since 80s, And let somebody not tell you that our time, is tomorrow, that our time is yet to come. The likes of Musalia Mudavadi became an MP, I believe, in his 20s. So did the likes of James Orengo. Tom Mboya was an MP in his 20s. So we are capable, and we have the capacity to actually lead this. What we need to do is to unite and send these people home. That's what we need to do.
Mulamba, just on this point, why do you think we're dissecting this trend? Because clearly it's a pain point. Why do you think it's so easy to ignore the voice of the youth of Kenya, to sideline them, or in this case, to divide them along the lines that Brian is talking about, tribe, class, and politics? Why is it so easy, as a youth yourself, why is it so easy to split this and manipulate this very powerful group of people?
Because we have political gods in Kenya, and this is intentional, because the system we have, unfortunately, does not favor the young people. In that, one, we have a wrong culture as a country of electing and celebrating mediocrity and incompetence. That the average voter will vote in almost always an incompetent, a foolish, and an inutile.
But why? Why is this so? I mean, actually, this is an honest question. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'll ask you this, and I'll ask everyone in the room. What happens to the consciousness, or the conscience, or the intelligence, or the outrage of the youth on election day? The youth that we saw coming out on June 25th, there's a movement dedicated to that. We're going to get to 2027. First of all, just looking at back the past elections. I've covered several elections in this country, and I can tell you the voter apathy among the youth is significant.
I was coming.
The people that actually show up to even register for voting is very, very small. The number is very small compared to the actual people who are eligible to vote.
I was coming to that.
Why is this so?
So as I was saying, we also have an attitude problem as the young people. And I cannot entirely blame this on us. I cannot entirely blame voter apathy on us. It's because we've seen from the past that sometimes most of our election results are rigged. So some youths would ask you, why should I even bother to vote? Because the decision to vote starts with the presidency. Before we get to the MP, the MCA, and the senatorial seats, the first bone of contention is who am I voting for as president? If they do not have a choice, you've had this conversation before, Raila was not a choice, Ruto was not a choice. There are 8 million people who did not vote. And I'm confidently saying that 70% of these 8 million people are the young people, including the millennials. So this voter apathy has been a trend for over time because they have seen that the culture in this country, as I was saying, has been celebrating the wrong type of leaders. And this has been brought together by the fact that we are still worshipping a culture of handouts. That as an aspirant, I have to line up my pockets quite well in a way that in every meeting I plan in whatever constituency or county that I am aspiring to vie, I am supposed to have a good budget for facilitation, for transport, for meals, for I don't know what, as if those people would not have found a way to come to this meeting and back home without me producing the money, as if they wouldn't have had supper or lunch without me affording them the opportunity to dine on my few dimes. So the problem is the Kenyan mindset. It's not entirely on the politicians, but even the politicians are to blame because they own the political parties. And in these political parties, they have made it excessively hard for the young people to acquire and to obtain leadership positions. It is intentional that we are not on the table because they understand that we are their replacement. So
but Mulamba, again, I ask, thank you for your point, but I do ask this, and it's a question to the room as well. We're looking at, this youth question is something we've discussed as a country for a long time. And the culture problem, the political culture that we find ourselves in, is something we've discussed for a long time. But here we have two ingredients here that are, if you ask me, solutions to each other. You've got a very powerful youth in this country. Sure. They're switched on, they're educated, they're smart, they're exposed, they know things. Sure. The internet has levelized the playing field so far in terms of information access and so on. That's one. On the other hand, like you say, the people who actually control the political parties are very few. The so-called elites. We've got young people like him and others who have set up political parties. I mean, with the vast numbers that the Kenyan youth possess, why is it so difficult to shake things up, to change that culture of handouts? Or is it perhaps a futile war to actually change this culture?
2027 is a watershed moment for this country, and I do not think that we've come this close to changing the Kenyan mindset and the Kenyan attitude as we have that chance in 2027, because you have a youth that is politically conscious now, you have a youth that is involved now, you have a youth that is tech savvy now. We do not have this internet some years back, and we have a youth that has gotten the media visibility through social media. And we've got...
And the People's Court.
Yes, and the People's Court.
Right.
Yeah, I had to say that. So we have better chances at leadership now than it was 10 or 20 years ago. So I'm looking at 2027 as the moment to define this country moving forward. And I'm hoping that the Kenyan people will not pull the notion that the young people are irreverent to authority, indisciplined, disrespectful, they are cantankerous, uncooperative, and know-it-alls, and they will have the grace in their hearts to vote for us as the alternative leadership in this country, so that we usher in the country we've been fighting for, and we walk the talk. We want to prove that it is possible for young people to usher in a new country that follows the rule of law, constitutionalism, and shows Kenyans what really good governance is.
All right. Now, just before we proceed, I know you guys are firing, you're hot. Put a pin on that just for a second. Let's have a look at the polls the question that we had. Now, so we asked you the question, do you believe your county, or rather our counties, will or are delivering on matters devolution? Mr. Producer, the Kenyans at home can see the poll. 21% say yes, they believe that this is possible. And no, the people who voted no are 77%. That is through the poll that we're running through the QR code. And those who are saying maybe are just 1%. Once again, that is the result. But I'm also looking at this other poll that we had on X, or formerly Twitter, as you used to call it. We asked, do you believe your county will deliver on devolution? Yes or no? And it's actually 50-50, strangely enough. The people on X are saying 50-50, literally split right in the middle. Yes is 50%, no is 50%. On the poll that is
currently running at the bottom of our screen with the QR code that you're supposed to scan. It is at 77% and was it 22, 23%, and then there's 1% who are undecided or a maybe, or they're maybe cautious, optimists or pessimists, whichever way you look at it. Keep your answers coming in. Devolution is on trial. And now, guys, I know I've asked a bunch of questions to the room. Let's hear from you, and then let's hear from the gentleman at the back. Please, someone pass the mic to him right at this moment, and then we will come to this row. So we start with you, and then we'll pick the rest of the people. Your name, please, where you're from, and what's your point?
Thank you very much, Victor.
Karibu.
My name is Michael Wandera.
Karibu, Michael.
Proudly hailing from vibrant landscape of Busia County.
Karibu sana.
Yes. Allow me first to start by contributing on my stand about devolution before answering your question.
Please.
Okay. The main aim of devolution was to ensure something called tailored development, where when there is development in Nairobi, we expect development in Laikipia concurrently. But the problem now comes into when we are handling different meetings, especially discussing about devolution, we are not handling the real problems. Like, for example, political patronage, where like devolution, as it was said, to bring jobs opportunities, we are not speaking about how can we be able to cut off this political patronage, where for you to be able to access an opportunity, you need to be connected in one or two ways to political affiliations. So we need to be able to know how to be able to help in such problems like those ones. So your question was about youths. I can tell you understanding and knowledge compels people to do things in certain way. Now that the youths have understanding and knowledge about what has been happening, I believe strongly that they will be able to be compelled to act responsibly as far as they are concerned. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Please pass the mic to, let's try hear from a few people who haven't spoken, and then we'll circle back. Pass it to these two gentlemen. In the meantime, let's hear from you, sir. What's your name and what's your point?
Yeah, I'm Andai Ochieng, a civil and structural engineer professionally, and a comrade revolutionary intellectual subscribing to the National Transformation Party.
Okay.
My chairman just submitted to you a few minutes ago.
Right.
Now, the culture of impunity and deception in the politics of the Republic of Kenya has spiraled down from Johnston Kamau Wangengi alias Jomo Kenyatta's time to Daniel Arap Moi's time, and it didn't stop there. It went on to Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki's time, the former president, and then came to Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's time, and now we are with William Kipchirchir Samoei Arap Ruto. This culture of deception has been a big problem to the punditry of the Republic of Kenya. But then, for the first time in history, south of the desert Saharawi and to the north of River Limpopo came a people popular revolution in the country of Kenya, one that has never been seen before in any country. And 2 weeks into that kind of a movement in Nairobi CBD, we checked on a few nations within Africa that also try to check on how they can change the status quo politically. That's why came the National Transformation Party that decided that it's high time we check on how we can inculcate integrity in transformative leadership and governance. The big problem we realize in the country is we have leaders that don't guide and govern with integrity. A good example, we have a president who promised heaven on earth before the election. After the election, comrades and the citizens of the Republic of Kenya checked on hell. Instead of trying to check on how, with the power that is bestowed in himself as the president, he can bring back to the country the trillions of cash that is hoarded in countries abroad, which could boost our economy and thus boost the devolution within the nation, he didn't do that. He kissed, hugged, and went in bed with the former president. When we ensure that integrity is in the leadership of the country and no one bargains with integrity like the Koreans do, we're not going to check on nonsensical affairs in the governance of this nation.
Okay.
So as the National Transformation Party, we are checking on ensuring that integrity is the core affair in leadership and governance. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from you, sir. What's your name and what's your point, particularly about this youth issue, youth inclusion?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Matthew
K. Samuel.
Karibu Matthew.
The only remnant of Nabongo Mumia King of Wanga, who is still living to date.
Right,
I'm the
Karibu.
chairperson, NYEF, that is National Youth Empowerment Forum, and still the youth leader at J25, together with my brother here.
Karibu, Karibu.
So when you are talking about the issue about the youth, let me start by saying you cannot convince or you cannot talk to an empty stomach, because the moment that the stomach is empty, the brain is affected directly.
What do you mean by that?
This is what I mean it. Mr. Mlamba there said the government or the big politician have tried to get a strategy on how to make sure that they squeeze the potential of youth to bring revolution into the country.
Okay.
And one of the ways they have tried to do that is by making sure that the youth don't have jobs, the economy in the country is being deteriorated, the taxes that are being contributed by the Kenyans are being stolen. So the moment the situation is like this, the youth are desperate.
Okay.
And the moment the youth are desperate, they can be taken away by these politicians in any way, because they have the bargaining power of the finances. They have the money.
Okay.
And the youth at current situation, tumeona wakimangamanga huko. They get a small thing, they leave the others kwa mataa, wanaingia into the government. And this is not a secret, and everyone knows that.
Is that not like you're saying, if you're saying when the stomach is affected,
yes,
or when the stomach is hungry, then the brain will be affected?
Yes.
Isn't that the dream of most youth, kutoka block, as they say?
Yeah, yes.
So why would you blame a few for securing the exit from the block for themselves?
Now, the main thing why I'm bringing this is because the people who are making sure that this thing happen that way are these big politicians. Because they know very well that the youth are very much, very sharp. They can change this country very much easily.
But if the youth are as sharp as you say,
yes,
why are they manipulated by these few people in that way?
You know, when it comes to hunger, you cannot change anything. It's the same with love. It is hand in hand with love things.
All right.
When there's no money and you are living with the woman in the house, utagongewa.
I see.
But
I believe.
Allow me to
member from Nabongo land, Mumias, you've introduced very, very emotive subjects into the mix. Hunger, knocking, and other stories.
We cannot fail on that, but let me just contribute.
Please bring your point home. Yes.
Let me bring something about devolution, because if I'm not going to talk about that,
no, we'll come back to you. I assure you.
The ancestors will punish me tonight. So
you're under siege from the politicians and the ancestors.
Yes. So let me say this. When we are talking about devolution, the way my seniors have brought it very openly, this is a very expensive entertainment that is being done
in Homa Bay.
In Homa Bay.
All right.
Very expensive.
What's your recommendation? Should it be abolished?
It is like celebrating your birthday every year at age 55 and you're still broke. What for? The government should sit down, put strategies and measures on how we can bring change before starting celebrating.
All right.
Let us see the countries that have prospered. When are they still celebrating, yet they are ferrying condoms to Homa Bay?
All right. Thank you. Let's hear from you, sir.
Yes.
You haven't spoken, and then you, and then we'll hear from Madame over there, and a few people who haven't spoken. Yeah, you'll pass the mic. Let's hear from you, sir.
My name is
You're vying. You're vying, aren't you?
I'm
yes.
vying, right.
Tell Kenyans where you're vying from.
Yes, my name is Boniface. Aspirant member of parliament, Karachonyo constituency.
There you go.
Yes, I'm from Homa Bay County, the county of endless potentials.
Is that so?
And the county of subject tonight.
And the county that is receiving a big consignment of very interesting material.
Yes. Now, I want to talk on the issue of youths being sidelined in the system. Now, youths are sidelined in terms of political, social, and economic, which are the three major pillars of development. And consequently, once you are disempowered, you cannot grow, and hence there's no development among the youths. So this one is used by politicians, definitely to sabotage their capability to ascend into the system, into power. Now, you've realized that most politicians, they manipulate youths when it comes to when political seasons arrive, because youths find themselves on their traps of disempowerment. We have a lot of avenues that the leaders that we elect after each and every 5 years can use to empower these youths.
Right.
But most of this money, or most of these resources are embezzled. The question that you asked about the effective of this of the conference that is going on in Homa Bay is that that conference can only be effective to these governors if they change their perception on the way they conceptualize governance, because most of them have turned the lordship of governing or leadership into an avenue of embezzling an avalanche amount of money. Okay. And I can tell you this, Victor, without fear of contradiction, nonchalantly, that most of our governors were not aware of devolution governance. And devolution governance is one of the most beautiful asset that the way I can put it, that we have as a country. Okay. Because it was the only avenue that we could use to trickle down resources to empower even the least youths, the least and the marginalized people, including people living with disabilities. However, most of them turned it into political bosses, and that is why they manipulate us. They, year comes, year goes, and each and every election years. Okay. And to conclude on that.
Yes, please.
In my opinion, I suggest that our governance system to be scrutinized by an independent body, a stringent independent body, to ensure that our resources don't get into people's pockets, but they are trickled down directly to people, the citizens that they were meant for.
But we do have these bodies. We have the Auditor General. We have many other organizations that actually are mandated to do this very thing. Reports are released. We are told this county is doing well on this point and the other, and yet after all is said and done, all will be said and nothing will be done. But thank you. I appreciate it. That's a really good suggestion. Allow me to bring in more people. The people of Karachuonyo have seen you. Please, madam, do you have a mic? Please grab a mic right away, and let's hear from you as we wait. What's your name and what's your point? And now let's keep it nice and tight, please.
Okay, thank you so much.
Karibu.
My name is Jeff Mwendwa.
Hello, Jeff.
I am a youth advocate from Kitui County.
Karibu.
Now, I want to state categorically that the conversation about devolution cannot continue to exist while we lack an effective EACC. If we cannot hold the corrupt to account, then we should not have the conversation about devolution at any point. Because this year, 415 billion has been released to the counties. You cannot give such kind of money to individuals without a strategy on how you're going to hold them to account. The EACC has been described time and time again as a toothless dog. And the EACC only goes after governors when they are in conflict with the government. We have seen it happen with George Nachembea. We have seen it happen with Kimani Wamatangi. How can you depend on political goodwill for the prosperity of a nation? Even I myself, if I'm entrusted with money, there's a big probability that I will use it for myself.
Allah.
That's incredibly honest.
The government and people need to understand that the solution is not even in electing young people. The solution is in having governing institutions that are independent. that the police force can hold the president to account, that the EACC can hold the closest guys to the president to account. Unless we are able to do that as a country, then we need to shift away from the devolution conversation.
All right.
And one thing I will tell you, the youth are more awake right now more than ever.
All right, all right.
The reason why the youth have not come out previously, I voted in the last election. Most of my friends never voted. I told them to go out and vote. They told me it's not interesting enough.
But right now?
Amazingly, most of the conversations that I've had this year with my friends are the ones who did not subscribe to any kind of political information that time. But right now, the youth are more aware.
All right, all right.
So I will repeat again,
Okay.
the devolution conference is not relevant unless and until we have an EACC that is capable to fight corruption.
All right, thank you very much. Let's hear from you, madam.
Jerry Maina.
Yes, yes, Karibu.
Come in Muranga Women Rep, come 2027.
I told you guys are vying in this room. Okay, tell us.
So, I would like to concur with my brother there.
Your mic, please, your mic. Raise it
Yes,
up too, yes.
Because the systems are the problem in our country. Because if individuals are not held accountable, being young at the moment, yes, Vine will be equally good, but until we have systems that are independent and systems that will work for the goodwill of the people, then this one cannot, the system will continue to be a cycle of the same thing that we are saying about corruption, the gaps that are there in governance and all that. And also youths being included in decision making and policy formulation. I think we have been denied opportunities because we are more awake right now. But even in the past, I don't think that we were being included in matters of governance. But right now, it's up to us people to fight for our space, to make sure that we get to those tables, to make decisions that will fit us. Because one thing, there is a generational gap between us and the people who are in power. Maybe the things that we are advocating for, they are not aware, they are not consciously aware about them, because there is that gap between us and them. So it's upon us to take the mantle to make sure that we get to those tables. However, we make sure that our voices will be heard, because right now I saw people in Homa Bay who are youths, but what are their jobs, protocol, and all that? Is that what we are calling ourselves youth for? We need to do better. We need to get ourselves to policy-making processes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Now, let's hear from a couple more people before we shift. I want to give an opportunity to people who haven't spoken before we circle back. Let's hear from you, and then the gentleman right behind you and the gentleman right next to you. So would you please pass the mic to him at the corner, and then he will pass the mic to you. To you first, and then him. You, and then him. That's the guys on that line. All of you, that's your mic. And then this is the mic for you guys. What's your name, and what's your point?
My name is Kelvin Simba, human rights activist.
Karibu Simba, talk to us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. What I can say is that the state or the politician have placed us youths, as goons, as people who distract, let's say, revolution. Because right now, when we're out there in the streets saying that things are not working, the government is sending the same youths who should be on the street fighting to do what? To distract. Not knowing that silence is betrayal. Devolution is not about putting power in their pockets. It's about delivering. Devolution is not about keeping money in Nairobi. It's about supplying the money to other counties. I've come up with an idea. I was here early in the morning saying that we must keep our governors into check, the MCAs, because the MCAs take something from the governor.
How do you do that?
Through civic education. We have done that for a long time.
Okay.
And I think right now, the youths are out saying that 2027 is their time and it's our time.
All right. Thank you, Simba. Thank you. We'll circle back to that. Let's hear from a few other people. The gentleman right next to you, keep it nice and tight. We're about to go for a short break. Let's hear from you.
Thank you so much, Bwana Victor.
Karibu.
My name is Okoth Hilary Wesonga.
Hello, Okoth.
I'm a chairperson to talk to Impact Global Ventures.
Karibu.
And a lot has been said concerning Devolution Conference. One of the objectives that I would like to echo is that the objective and the one that I want to echo is that there is a national prosperity and again national unity through equality and diversity. That means that we should be having like equality at all points. But devolution has become it's like a business. I will consider it a business.
Okay.
Because these funds are distributed, but now they don't reach the ground. So it's like a business. The same way, our MPs can have those monies for bursaries, but then again, they will distribute them according to how they want them to.
I see.
So
okay.
It will be very difficult.
Okay.
The Devolution Conference, yes, is here, but I want to agree with those on the panel, the guy at the panel there, that it's like a more of entertainment.
Oh, like what Mulamba was talking about.
Yeah, what Mulamba was saying. It's like more of entertainment.
All right, thank you,
Yeah,
Okoth. Let's hear from you, sir. What's your good name? Please pass the mic to the gentleman behind you. What's your name and what's your point? Quickly as you can, please.
Good evening. My name is Wanjala.
Hello, Wanjala. Karibu.
Good. Vice Chairperson from the GOtv Nursing Student Association.
Karibu.
My point is that in this country, we must have the functioning system that can oversee what the leaders are doing. The issues of just saying that we should choose young people so that they know what they need. But I could say that also young people will get old at some point and may also think the same way the older people are thinking right now. So one of the things that I may recommend maybe is that education to the youth so that they know what the systems should work. No, what I mean is that one of the most recommendations that I could take to... Sorry.
It's okay, Wanjala. It's okay. It's all right. We've got time for you.
What I may recommend is that we should have systems that I can oversee what the leaders are doing so that everything they do is being monitored so that the people or the countrymen can see what the leaders are doing.
Okay. I think that's a viable point. Thank you, Wanjala. Now, we are bound to go for a short break, but for the sake of the two people who are supposed to speak, who have not spoken, our director, please just give me 15 to 20 seconds per person. We go on break and then we come back for the... Please, keep it nice and short, or would you rather we go for break and then we come back? Gentlemen, allow me to go for a break. I think it would be unfair to you if I curtail your time. Let's go for a short break. Those of you at home who are sending in your feedback, keep sending it. The QR code should be on your screen. The SMS line is open, as well as the X poll is also available. Let us know what you think. But just before we go on break, I would like to set something in motion that all of us should begin to think about. If devolution is what it has been described to be in this room, then what should be done to extract the most out of devolution? How can we make devolution better? I want to challenge all of you to come up with ideas, solutions, plans on what we can do between now and the next time there's an opportunity to actually make a change in the very system that we actually have. Between now and that time in the future where we all get a chance to make a change, what should be done to make things better, all right? Digest on that as we go for these messages. We'll be right back.